They're extremely generous, had a strong impact on this town.
Lester and Gary Lou helped transform a home-based greeting card business into a national mail-order giant. Orrin and Miriam Lou started Laureates Press in their home in Colorado Springs back in 1947.
Well, Laureates was started in our garage. That's where the printing press would work. And the sunroom was the art studio. And my mother's business, Current, was started in the basement. And that's where they boxed the cards and so on. When we came home from school, we would take care of delivering the packages to the post office. And one of us would throw them out the basement window, and then the other one would put them in the car. And we always had a fight about that, who did what.
Lester Lou, who everyone called Dusty, and Gary Lou officially joined the companies in 1962 and 1964.
Our parents, thank goodness, had the courage to turn over their business and their livelihood to two kids who didn't know much. We made recipe cards, and with every order, we included a recipe card with one of her recipes on it. And our customers really liked that, so we convinced her to write a cookbook.
Miriam's first cookbook sold over 600,000 copies, prompting her to write more than a dozen over the next decade.
She finally ended up with 4 test kitchens and 5 or 6 home economists.
Under Dusty and Gary's leadership, Current Incorporated grew dramatically through the 1980s.
They had a vision and they stayed with it and figured out how to do it.
We kept constantly setting goals over the years. You know, once we got to be $1 million, we wanted to be $2 million, then $2 million, we wanted to be $5 million, and then $5 million, we wanted to be $10 million, and so on. So we finally got it up to $100 million.
Sometimes they're just 2 little kids that grew up. And they'd be there arguing and fighting about things as the company progressed along.
Yeah, we'd have a fight here and there, and our secretary was convinced that that was the end of the company, and half an hour later, one of us had asked the other, "Where are we going to lunch?"
Well, I think what you had here were typical brothers. And what they did was they eventually came to a conclusion and worked together. But that process could be a little tricky.
The other thing is they always had fun. I mean, that was, life was and business was, you got to have fun while you're doing things.
Dusty and Gary sold Current in 1986 for $115 million and formed High Valley Group.
We invested in a development called Briargate up across from the Air Force Academy, and that's turned out to be very lucrative, and we're very pleased with that.
Through the years, Dusty and Gary have always given back to the community. They helped build the Sky Sox Stadium, invested in the Union Medical Campus, and served on numerous boards and committees in the Pikes Peak region.
They've stepped up. Not only have they been generous with their money, but they've been very generous with their time and their commitment.
They're part of the core, they're part of the fabric of the entire Pikes Peak region. And they were for, and Gary certainly continues to be.
You know, there's nothing like owning your own business. Certainly the pride of ownership, but also the satisfaction that comes from building something out of basically nothing and achieving success.
Colorado Springs is a better place because of that family.